I caused a storm on Twitter for saying this, but I really don't care because it's true. When it comes to New York, Black American culture is the foundation of that city. Literally, it's the foundation. And what's even crazier, that in New York, Black Americans is very underrepresented. Y'all probably be like, Key, what the fuck are you talking about? Look at it. Look at Juneteenth celebrations. Even Black Americans agree with me when I said this on Twitter, that when you have Juneteenth celebrations, you see nothing but jollof rice and jerk chicken. Literally everything but Black American foods. Like Southern food, like you see everything but that. We're literally unrepresented. And the thing is, once you peep that out, people be like, oh, you're xenophobic. Or you're behaving exactly like white people. No, I'm not behaving like white people. Y'all believe that we don't have culture, but y'all actively participating in our fucking culture.
What's good, you all, and welcome on another episode. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. There is a very interesting conversation going on TikTok right now about Black American culture, especially in New York City. Creator came online to express a disconnect with the New York club scene because she stated that Black American culture is underrepresented in New York City. They will say Black Americans don't have culture. Like, it's almost like they are not Black Americans again in New York City. It sparked a very interesting conversation because it has brought up so many questions that people are even answering, stating that people are moving out of New York City. There are so many other people that are not Black Americans in New York City. There are even comments of people stating that even at their workplace in New York, that they are the only Black Americans there. That it's almost like Black Americans are moving out of New York City. And, it's a very interesting conversation. This conversation even led to another conversation, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys in the next video. But this particular one is about the underrepresentation of Black American culture in New York City. And I feel like it's a very interesting one because I love all the points that these people are making. So without wasting much time, let's just get straight into it.
So my disconnect with the New York club scene is due to the fact that Black American culture is too underrepresented in this city. And like Caribbean people always say Black Americans don't have culture, but in reality, y'all just are not aware of Black American culture. Like, there's so much regional Black American culture throughout this country that y'all don't know because y'all only moved to New York, Miami, and Atlanta. So in New York, the only Black American culture that is represented is mainstream Black American culture. Like the most popular of the popularist rap songs that just came out a couple years ago, or like old 90s mainstream Black culture, but it's never like all of the different, like, where's the West Coast rap? Why y'all not playing no Plies? Where's the T-Pain? Like, it's so much Black American culture and Southern rap that just don't get no airplay in this city because it's just Caribbean culture. And like, I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up with soca, reggae, dancehall. I'm aware of Caribbean culture and I enjoy Caribbean culture, but it's like, as a Black American person, sometimes it's like I want to hear the music that I grew up on. I want to hear the music that my family plays at our events because Caribbean culture is not my culture and it's not really that present in my household. I think that's also why there's always this conversation of like, oh, there are no Black Americans in New York City, because most of them just go back to the South like I'm about to.
Black Americans are definitely a dominant culture in New York City. It's not that it doesn't exist, it's that you just don't understand it. There's nothing more confusing to Black people from around the country than to go to a city like New York City and then being juxtaposed with so many other Black people from other areas in the world. Whereas in the South, in the Midwest, in the West Coast, if you're Black, you're primarily Black American first. If you move to New York from Detroit, you move to New York from Atlanta, Alabama, Tennessee, you're going to feel as if the presence of Black American people is less or diminished or not represented enough because you as a Black person did not grow up with various types of Black people. Being from New York City is its own thing. We grow up exposed to cultures from around the world, and it's not just Black people. In New York City, you have the Jews, the Italians, the Polish, the Irish, the Russians, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Taiwanese, the Thai. And these pockets of people create what I understand in my life. And that is an amalgamation of living together to create what New York City is. Now, for you to be an outsider and a transplant and to come to New York or be in my comment sections saying that, oh, something's wrong with those New York Black people. Oh, all they do is pander to Caribbean. Oh, they play Caribbean music. Yeah, and we eat food from around the world. And we're more exposed to people from around the world. That's just what our culture is in the city that we're from. You don't understand it, which is fine. I'm not asking you to understand it. But what you can't say is that Black American culture isn't a dominant culture or doesn't exist because other cultures exist in New York. There will always be a disconnect for anyone that's Black in America and Black American moving to a city like New York, expecting it to be like anywhere else in America. Other cities are not like New York, and that's just how I can describe it. If you're in New York City and you move to Brooklyn and you hang out with 4 Caribbean people, your exposure is going to be Caribbean. If you move to Harlem and you're around Black Americans, you're going to get a Black American experience. If you move to the Bronx and you're not in the South Bronx, it's going to be Puerto Rican. If you move to the South Bronx, it's going to be Black. If you move to the Heights, it's going to be Dominican. If you move to Flatbush, it's definitely going to be Caribbean. The thing about New York is there are pockets of areas in the city where each group kind of has the reins, and regardless of that, before any of these people came to New York City, who was there? Black Americans. The foundation of what they assimilate to is Black American culture. And that video was funny because she was reducing Black American culture to playing West Coast or Southern rap music. And that's just not something we've ever done. Mentioning like Beyonce, YG, Young Thug, Future, and Megan Thee Stallion as Southern music, they're not Southern rappers. They are international rappers. They are national rappers. There's a difference between a regional subgenre music and stars that are from a region in America. Well, I say that to say, if you're not from New York, you inherently probably will never understand New York, and you'll probably always harbor feelings about you being a Black American and coming from somewhere where everybody's Black American, so the culture is all Black American, to you having to share a city with other groups of people, which make that city one of the best cities in the world, in my opinion. There's an inherent understanding between New Yorkers about how we respect each other's cultures, how we understand each other's cultures, how we communicate with each other. You grow up juxtaposed to Black Americans, Caribbean people, Asian people, white people from around the world, and it's just the norm. There's no other way I can describe it. I'm in Miami right now, visiting family, and 2 people I met last night were from New York, and I immediately knew they were from Brooklyn. Like, just the way they spoke. Then my follow-up question was, where's your people from? And they were like, nah, we're from Brooklyn. My grandparents are from Brooklyn. And I was like, all right, word. My family moved from Georgia to Brooklyn as well. New York or nothing, baby. New York or nothing.
So I've been hearing all this discourse about the African American culture not being relevant in New York City anymore, and how there's no African American areas or like club scenes and things like that. And all I have to say is, y'all just need to know where y'all people are at. Let me explain to you. In New York City, right, there's different areas you need to go to align yourself with certain groups of people. I'm African, okay? If I want to hang out with Africans and I want to be around African culture, you know where I'm going to go? I'm either going to go to Harlem or to the Bronx, okay? Those are the 2 main places where African people reside in. I was born and raised in the Bronx, obviously, but, you know, if I wanted to really get down with the African people, I'll go to Harlem, hang out around 116, 125th, all that area where all the Africans be at, and call it a day. Now, if you're a Hispanic person or a Hispanic individual, you know where you need to go? You need to go to Dyckman, Washington Heights, or the Bronx. That's where you're going to find all the Hispanic community at. You're going to find Dominican, you're going to find Puerto Rican, you're going to find Mexicans, you're going to find all kinds of Hispanic people over there. If you're Caribbean and you want to get around the Caribbean culture, you're going to go to Flatbush, Brooklyn, Little Haiti, Nostrand Avenue, Queens, Jamaica Avenue, all those areas, Gun Hill Road in the Bronx. That's where you're going to find all the Caribbean people at, okay? Now, if you're Middle Eastern, if you're an African American person and you want to find your people, right, go to Harlem. Let me repeat that again. Go to Harlem. They literally just had a parade for Malcolm X's birthday. Like, they literally was walking around all over 125th. Go to Harlem. Harlem has a lot of Black American people, period. Soul food, all kinds of stuff. Go to Harlem. If you want to go, if you don't want to move or go around Harlem, go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I would say maybe Bed-Stuy, Bed-Stuy kind of got gentrified, so I don't really like that. Same thing with Harlem, but definitely those are where your people are gonna be at, like Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and then Harlem, New York. Like, go to Harlem. That's where people are gonna be at. I think that what we have to start doing is know where our culture resides in when we're in New York City. New York City is a melting pot, and there's different kinds of culture. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on this. Let me know how you guys want to comment.
A Black American woman got on TikTok and said she feels Black American culture is underrepresented in New York City. And I'm also Black American. I also live in New York City. I live in Harlem. I kind of agree with her. I do feel like Black American culture is underrepresented in New York City. And she's not the only Black American that feels this way. There are other Black Americans that feel this way. Part of the reason why our culture is underrepresented, and it didn't used to be this way, but part of the reason why it is this way now is because a lot of Black Americans have left New York City. 200,000 of us have left over the past 20 years, probably due to the rising cost of living. Like our community, the families in our community just don't have the same stability that the other cultures have. And so just keeping up with the rise of the cost of living, I guess, is difficult for us. And so a lot of us have moved back south. A lot of Black Americans have roots down south, like our parents and our grandparents are from the south. My dad is from Florida, and I'm from Western New York. My dad's from Florida originally. That's where his family is. He has some family in Western New York. My mom is from Western New York, but her mother and her mother's family are from Ohio. So over the summer when I was growing up, I would spend time in both places. So I think a lot of us are just moving back down south. Somebody on TikTok said Black Americans should feel spiritually connected to the South. I absolutely do. And I think a lot of us are just kind of, in a sense, returning to our roots down south. So, I mean, we are underrepresented in New York City, but I'm not pointing the finger at the other cultures. If we want to have more of a presence, I mean, that's something that we have to do ourselves. We have to make ourselves more known. We had more of a stronger presence, in the past, but I think that's kind of changed again with the rise of the cost of living. I think is what's driving the change. And, we have people flooding into New York City from different states, even from different countries. And New York City is at capacity, but people are still squeezing their way in. And I get it. The city is super attractive. So, anyone who can move here wants to take their shot and move here. But a lot of people that already live here are getting displaced. So, I mean, we have to really make our presence known if that's what we want. Because Black Americans of the past did that. I don't really feel like Black Americans of today do that. I don't feel like we really make ourselves known. We're kind of, going with the flow. I can't fault her though. She's not the only Black American that feels that way. I've had this conversation multiple times where I'll meet new people here in New York City. And they'll say, where are you from? And I say, Western New York. And they say, where are you really from? And I'll say, Western New York. Where are your parents from? And I'll say, my mom's from Western New York, my dad's from Florida. But where are they really from? Where are your grandparents from? They'll just keep asking that. It's mostly other Black people that say that. And I've had people even tell me, I've never met an actual Black American. Most Black people are Caribbean. Most Black people in New York are Caribbean or African. I've heard that several times. So, I mean, we do have a dwindling presence. But if we want to have a stronger presence, that's something that we have to do ourselves.
What do you guys think about the point that so many of these Black Americans are bringing up? Is it overpopulated? Do you think that, it's too expensive and they are moving out? Do you think they just don't care for Black Americans in New York City? What do you think is the reason why Black American culture is underrepresented in New York City? Because yes, I feel like it's very interesting conversation. This person said it is too many people in New York that are not Black American representing our culture. Another person said Black Americans left in droves starting in the 90s for cheap housing in the South. And this is a point that so many of the people who teach to the very first lady's video are talking about, saying so many moved to down South because yes, it is better there, it is affordable, less populated compared to New York City. You can have a better life, a more comfortable life there because things are not so expensive compared to New York City. This was always well known. I think younger people don't know this. Blaming immigrants is wrong when gentrification and housing prices is the problem. So I think it led to a conversation of stating, everybody has taken over. There are not so many of them anymore. Like I told you guys, I saw a comment of someone stating that a workplace, they are the only Black person, not even just one comment stating that, so many comments stating on themselves in some places that they are the only existing Black American there. You think New York City attracts so many immigrants that, immigrants have taken over the entire place and no space again for Black Americans there? This one said, I am American, and honestly, we can let them have this. We are literally the dominant culture in every other American city except for Miami, New York, probably Boston, and a few other East Coast cities. I feel like we should just let them have it at this point. This one said, also, Black Americans have a connection to the South that Black immigrants don't. This makes the move less difficult because Black Americans have family and community in the South. Another one said, like you said, it is only older Black Americans, New Yorkers, that are still trying to keep the Black American spaces and culture alive. Do you think they are not interested in the Black American culture? Do you think they are not interested in keeping the Black American culture alive? Let me hear what you guys think. With the declining Black American population comes the dwindling of a once deep and root culture. And that is the name of the game here. Dwindling population will lead to dwindling presence. There are more other people, there are more other populations there. I hope Black Americans continue to keep your culture and history alive here. This one said, it is so much gaslighting online. I am a Black American that moved to New York City over a decade ago. It was rare I ran into a fellow Black American. And everyone always assumed I wasn't one either. Most of my Black American friends lives in Jersey. What do you guys think? Do you think it is the older ones that are keeping it alive? Do you think the younger people are not interested in keeping the culture alive? Like, what do you think? Do you think is the housing problem? Do you think is the prices? Do you think is the fact that the city is expensive? Or do you think is the influx of immigrant? Because, the conversation is going on different levels. Please, let's make this very educational and not throw jabs at anybody. Or do you think is the reason why Black American culture is underrepresented in New York City? And if you live in New York City, have you ever been in a space where you feel like you're the only Black Americans there? Please share your experience in the comment section. Trust me, there are people reading it. I am reading it as well and learning, and I know there are other people doing so too. So please make sure that you share your comments in the comment section. Thank you all so much, so freaking much for joining. I'm going to see you guys in the next one.